Welcome back, fantasy enthusiasts. It's Ryan D. Meier here with another episode of Discover New Worlds presented by World Hoppers Guild. Today we welcome science fiction author Adam Gaffen coming directly to us from the year 2113. Check it out. Well, hello. I'm excited here to welcome Adam Gaffen, author of the Cassidy Chronicles. Adam, thanks for joining us today. Why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Ryan. So my name is Adam Gaffen. I am the author of the Cassidy Chronicles. It's a four-book science fiction series uh, with the adventures of Ayana and Kendra. Ayana's the redhead, and Kendra is the blonde behind me. And I'm in the middle of writing the fifth book in the series as we speak. Should be released later this summer.
Beautiful. We're lucky enough, Adam. You were kind enough to send over our way some free reading for our readers. So, starting for the month of June here, we're happy to have your Cassidy Chronicles up as one of our free books of the month. So, my understanding is that's kind of a compilation of the beginning chapters of the first several books of the series. Why don't you give us a little insight into that?
Sure. I wanted to give everybody a taste of each of the books because they each have their own focus, and to a certain degree they each have their own style. Um, the first book is it was never intended to be the first book. It was intended to be a standalone. So has turned into more of a prologue than um, you know, than it was planned. The second book starts off an arc, which is going to be finished with the fifth book. The third book, the third book comes out very hard on the inhumanity that we inflict on each other. And the fourth book is the theme behind that is, no matter how small or insignificant you might feel that you are, anybody can make a change. So,
Yeah, well, I love books with specific themes that try to shine through. I think it's important in literature. That's part of like, uh, love it or hate it, right? When you read someone's book, you get a piece of them, pieces of them. So I always love to hear when an author is focusing on a single theme. Was there something specifically that impacted you that made you want to focus on that, or is that something that was just kind of a concept in your head you wanted to make sure that you highlighted?
well, the the first book. All right. So the first book is about kind of found family and how the people that you choose to be with reflect an awful lot about you. The second book is, in terms of the character arcs, Kendra is learning that with the old Spider-Man line, with great power comes great responsibility. You know, all of a sudden she has great power, and she has to learn how to deal with it. The third book was written last summer, and that was, a very tumultuous time uh,
Sure.
for our country, and a lot of unrest and a lot of discussion about uh, injustices and inequalities. And so I thought it was a resonant subject for a book. And the fourth one, which was written last fall, kind of played off of the whole political drama that has gone on, but more in the sense of not not so much standing for one side or another, but every person has to decide whether, where they're going to stand, and every person's voice is important to be heard because it can make a difference. And the fifth book, like I said, I'm writing the fifth book now, and the fifth book, the theme is going to be, or is, I should say, because I'm most of the way through. The theme is, how far are you willing to go to achieve your goals, and at what cost to your own ideals? And Kendra is running hard into that issue.
So now it seems with the Cassidy Chronicles, and this is what I find fascinating hearing you talk about it. So in the sampler, we're going to be able to read a little bit snippets. And like you said, one of the big reasons is because you feel like each book has a separate and different identity. Now, obviously, I'm sure the plots are all heavily connected, right? But you're going to have in each of the compilation pieces, I'm assuming we're going to still follow the same two main characters, but these are kind of like, are the books like episodic in a way? It's obviously a continued storyline, but if you were to pick up, like, let's say somebody read one of the samplers and wanted to pick up two, is this something that is interchangeable, or you need to read from the beginning to the end in the series?
So I have worked very hard to, in the second, third, and fourth books, and in the fifth book, to put enough backstory in so that somebody could pick up the book who hasn't read any of the others and get enough so they know what's going on, know who everybody is, get the relationships between them and how the personal and professional relationships and how it all fits together. Like I said, the first book ends up being more of a prologue, but it is a great introduction to the characters. The second one is where the arc that I'm really exploring now. That's where that story arc begins. When I had the fourth book out with my early readers, a lot of them had no idea. They had never read any of the Cassidy books before, and they said, yes, I could follow it. There was enough there that I could get through, that I knew what was going on. And now I'm going to go back and read the other three.
That's a tough ledge to balance on, because you don't want to then beat your existing readers over the head with existing stuff either. So no, I applaud you. That's tough. That's a tough balance to find. Now, before we talk about book one, because I do want to hear a little bit about book one, but I couldn't help but read a little bit of your blurb, and I loved it. And to be honest with you, I've been kind of working on something that I'm hoping you'll let me try out. So I've been thinking about a little bit of a new career move. Maybe I can move into like movie trailer narration, I think this will be a really great thing for me to sharpen and hone. Would you allow me to kind of audition for you here?
Sure, hit me.
All right. Let me get this it's going here. The Cassidy Chronicles, Volume 1 by Adam Gaffen. Welcome to the world of 2113. The country is shattered into 10 squabbling nations, and the solar system is on the edge of colonization. Technological wonders are abound, yet it's not unlike our own. People meet, they fall in love, and they face assassination at their wedding. Well, perhaps not. Meet Ayana and Kendra, Cass and Ken to their friends, a genius physicist and a retired movie star with a mysterious past. They live quietly, get along with their neighbors, and they don't have problems at work. So why then did they have to run for their lives from their wedding? Travel with them across the continent as they search for answers, make new friends, face daunting challenges, and discover unexpected enemies. It's a ride you don't want to miss. All right, so I practiced that. How do we come out here?
Well, I think you might have I think you might have a backup there.
Okay, very good. No, really though, the blurb is excellent. When I was kind of going through, it did really catch me, and in my head, that's what I heard. So why don't you, if you don't mind, why don't you just tell us a little bit? I know you said that it kind of acts as a prologue, if you will, but that likely, I would guess, is people are going to see book one and jump in there. Why don't you just give us a quick brief over for it?
Sure. So, like the blurb says, they're at their wedding, and the minister pulls out a flechette gun and tries to kill Ayana. And she grabs Kendra's hand and, all right, I have to back up. This is 100 years from now,
Okay.
and so the marriage they're entering into is a plural marriage. It's them and Derek. And so Ayana grabs both of their hands and drags them running out of the chapel. And
Okay.
now they have to, so they've got to figure out, okay, what's going on. And Cass reacts quickly, but then she's lost. She's like, I don't know how to deal with this. I deal with physics. I deal with high energy optics. That's I do research. But Kendra seems to know what to do and how to cover their tracks and where to go next. She has a bit of a mysterious past, which she walked away from. She is a retired actress. She walked away from her past, but now her past is coming back, and she has to dive back into that life to save them. And the country is shattered. There are 11 or 12 different countries now where the United States was, and they go across the country. They go from the Sonoran Republic, which is present day New Mexico and Arizona, to Las Vegas, which is now its own country, all the way over to Massachusetts because Kendra has a hideout there. And then they drive down to New Orleans, which has been destroyed in Hurricane Alondra in 2098. And yet that's where her company, the mysterious company Outlook, is based, because who's going to look for a company in a ruined city? So that takes you through the first third of the book. After that, things get even more complicated because they have to, they got to split up. But I won't tell you why. No, can't do too many spoilers.
No, definitely no. That would defeat the purpose, right? um, well, it almost sounds like beyond obviously the space and sci-fi element, it sounds like it's got a little bit of apocalyptic future America, at least in the beginning portions of it, from the sounds of it.
I would say if you're going to categorize it, it's not really apocalyptic because the breakup has been gradual and occasionally peaceful. Dystopian perhaps would fit. But I was definitely drawing on kind of a James Bond vibe and Robert Heinlein's Friday as inspirations for these characters and what they have to go through.
No, that's great. I know when I was looking through the book too, it's been really well received, and you've gotten some compliments on some of the influences. So one thing I loved is it sounds like you like to include some little hidden gems, some Easter eggs that you include from some other of your favorite series, right? Is that accurate?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've been reading and enjoying science fiction for many, many years. And so I can't think of a better way to pay homage to my favorite authors and to my favorite series than to throw in a reference to them. And uh, yeah, okay, it's kind of a passe thing, even though it's lots of people are still doing it. But Kendra is a very meta character because she has this obsession with late 20th century and early 21st century pop culture. That's established very early on. I mean, in the second chapter of the first book, it's established that, this is what she's done. And so she watched Star Trek, all of the Star Treks, and she loves that ideal. She loves the equality and the, people aren't killing each other because they need the money. They're not working themselves to death. They're able to do and create and be in not a perfect society. Any society that has humans is not going to be perfect, but as close to perfect as a society can be made. And she's like, yes, I want that. And by the end of the first book, and by the end of volume 1, she's now in a position where she can make her dream a reality. So she, a fictional character, don't tell her I said that, is looking back at our fiction and is making it her reality.
Interesting. I love one of my guilty pleasure favorites is Ready Player One, because it's just the pop culture is just so amazingly done. So that's what I'm looking forward to when I check out volume 1. It's on my to be read list, but I'll be looking to check out all those references. That's a really great way to pay homage, in my opinion. I don't think that there's a better compliment that, when art can reflect the same values and things that, another piece of art does. That's great. So you obviously mentioned some of your direct inspirations for your writing. What are some things that you either are reading or watching or into currently that's kind of fueling some of your writing flames?
Well, right now, I would say that in terms of feeding the flames, right now, just wrapping up this arc, wrapping up this particular storyline is enough to keep me going. But I have a couple other side projects which are in the same universe. I have on my website every Saturday, Kendra posts she posts a story, and it's her memories of Ayana. She and Ayana grew up together. They were neighbors.
Okay.
And so that, they've been friends since they were too young to know what a friend was. And so every Saturday she's putting up a memory, and it's fairly chronological. So, it's working through their childhood and just telling the stories of what they've been doing. It's written in her voice because it's her memories. And it's written in the first person. It's what she knows. It's what she saw, and so that gives me a little bit of a variety. I always have books that I'm reading. Currently, I have I have John Ringo's Vorpal Blade. I have Voices of the Fall. What else do I have going? I probably have 2 or 3 others kicking around somewhere or another. And my wife was a big fan of Buffy, which I never watched. I've seen a few minutes of it, and I have a vague idea of the overarching picture of the series, but I never watched it. So every night we watch an episode together. So yay, Netflix.
Yeah, now you're getting all caught up, or do you find you're into it now that you have a different perspective on the show? Obviously, it wasn't something that you liked before, but
it wasn't so much I didn't like it before. It's just that, it never appeared on my radar.
Hmm.
I've never had opportunity to see it because back when it was airing, I was usually working at night.
Sure.
And so, know, never recorded it and
Yeah.
just didn't see it. Um, I am enjoying it, and there are things about it which like I said, I had kind of an overarching picture of the series,
Hmm.
and one of the characters in the Cassidy Chronicles, who's not in the sample, she's introduced in the second third of the book, is Agent Amanda McAllister, who's an IT specialist, and she is very much like an early season Willow, the
Okay.
completely socially awkward but knows everything, and just she talks a mile a minute and doesn't really know when to shut up.
But I'm sure she has some surprises in store for us on the journey, I'm sure.
Oh
That's
yes,
awesome.
yes, yep.
So before we wrap it up, Adam, I can pass it to you. Anything else you'd like to let our audience know, but definitely let us know where we can find you. And I'll make sure as we wrap up the video portion, I'll get those links up on the screen for everybody as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, you can find me most easily on Facebook and Instagram, just Adam Gaffen. There's only one of me. It's a completely unique name. There is only one of me. Anybody else who says they're me, they're not. Um, so that's Facebook and Instagram. You can also find everything about the Cassidy Chronicles at CassidyChronicles.com. That's a website. I post chapters of the books up there. We have the Saturday posts, and I even have on Sunday, I have an older book that I'm putting up one chapter at a time as well for people to see.
Very good. All right. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us, Adam. Everybody, get out there, check out the sampler, or I mean, if you're me, you don't even need to check out the sampler. Go out and pick up Cassidy Chronicles Volume 1 and get to know Adam. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Having Adam was a lot of fun, and I'm completely reconsidering the green screen thing. Let me know in the comments if you want me to start interviewing authors with weird and distracting imagery behind me. If you think that would be a hit, let me know below. Give me some ideas, and we'll find somebody for me to prey on and have some laughs at in a video.